A few years back, I walked into an engineering firm with offices in Newark and New York City to handle the most common complaint I hear from leaders. Our team lacks accountability. The CEO wanted a magic fix for the team's lack of accountability, and I immediately knew there were deeper problems. When your team is underperforming, the move you're about to make, hold them more accountable, is the move that quietly kills your best people. It builds fear instead of standards, buries problems instead of solving them, and pushes the people you can't afford to lose toward the door. There's one shift that reverses all of it, and it isn't motivation, increased pressure, or anything you'll find in a performance review. Once you see it, you'll recognize how every accountability conversation you've ever had was aimed the wrong way. Back to that engineering firm. Leadership's complaint was loud and consistent. Their team lacked accountability. All the blame was flowing downward, and the finger never made it back up. So I did what I always do. I spent time with the leaders, and then I spent time with the engineers. And what I found wasn't a team that lacked accountability. It was a team that lacked resources, support, and clarity. These were sharp, capable engineers quietly drowning in frustration. Most had stopped speaking up months ago. Some had already quietly checked out. What they really had was a leadership problem dressed up as an accountability one. So I ran a process I call gives and gets. Every role, every responsibility, and every breakdown gets put on the table. What each team needs to give and what each team needs to get. The result was striking. Leadership finally saw what they had been failing to provide, and the engineers finally saw what they had been failing to own. Within weeks, commitment came back at every level. Not because we cracked the whip, but because we shared the accountability. That story isn't rare. It's a common problem. Because when leaders pick up the hammer, here's what they actually create. Fear creeps in, and people stop taking risks. Silence sets in because problems get hidden instead of solved. Blame starts pointing sideways and downward, but rarely inward and up. The best people quietly disengage, and toxic behavior gets normalized as nobody steps up to call it out. The neuroscience here is clear. When people fear accountability, they hide problems instead of solving them. The brain's threat system hijacks performance. That's the part most leaders miss. What you tolerate becomes your culture. Every behavior you walk past, you've effectively approved. Every excuse you accept, you've quietly installed. And every standard you compromise on, you've just lowered. A fundamental philosophy of great leaders is to produce a culture of committed leadership, not compliant followership. Accountability used as a hammer creates compliance, never commitment. I want to hand you the lever that makes everything I'm about to share actually work. It's a free guide on how to give feedback as a leader, the kind that creates real ownership and shared accountability instead of defensiveness. Links in the description. Grab it before we keep going. So here's the shift. Shared accountability means every person owns both the performance and the conditions that drive performance. It doesn't remove personal responsibility. It expands leadership responsibility. Because when a team is underperforming, the way those engineers in Newark were, the conditions matter as much as the effort. Leadership owns the conditions, clarity, and what winning looks like. Coaching that actually develops people instead of just evaluating them. Feedback that's direct, timely, supportive, and helpful. Performance alignment, so the team is rowing in the same direction. Communication that flows across divisions, up and down. Standards, both what you reinforce and what you refuse to tolerate. And culture, shaped every day by what you model and what you allow. Employees on their side. Effort, full energy every day. Execution, finishing what they start. Ownership, no excuses or blame. Attitude, because how they show up affects everyone around them. Growth, evolving at their craft over time. And contribution, making the team stronger, not just themselves. That's the balance. Leaders create the conditions and employees execute inside them. When accountability becomes blame, performance drops. When accountability becomes shared ownership, performance rises. Underperforming teams operate from a me mindset. My department, my goals, my metrics, my excuses. High-performing teams operate from a we mindset. It is our mission, our standards, our communication, our results. Listen to the language inside your team this week. The language is the diagnosis. That's not my job becomes, how do we solve this? Their department dropped the ball becomes, where did our communication fail? Who messed up becomes, what broke down in the system? Same situation, completely different outcome. Me protects the person, we protects the mission. When you install shared accountability across a team, here's what you get. Trust, because nobody's hiding. Psychological safety, because mistakes become data, not weapons. Faster communication, because problems surface early instead of late. Cross-functional collaboration, because silos break down. Stronger execution, because clarity replaces confusion. And real ownership, not the facade of ownership. That's exactly what happened with the engineering firm. They created a culture of shared accountability. The hammer disappeared, the honesty returned, and the performance followed. That's the whole shift. High-performing teams stop protecting themselves and start protecting the mission. Look, every leader I've worked with over the last 35 years who masters this builds a team that genuinely thrives. But shared accountability is only one piece of the performance puzzle. Underneath is a deeper dive elite leaders use, the one that stops them from wanting to control the outcomes and starts shaping the mindset behind every behavior. That's the foundation we've just talked about is actually built on. I broke it down here in this video. Click on it now. You'll want to watch it before this one starts working. I'm Michael Saletta. Do me a favor. Apply what you learn, share with others, and please subscribe. Make it an exceptional day.